My name is Timur Bekmambetov, and I'm a filmmaker, producer, and director.
My name is Anna Lisa Muravina. I'm the Vice President of Development and Production for Baslev's in the United States.
My name is Pavel Boshkov. I'm one of the producers.
My job as a producer is to support and encourage an artist in telling her or his story. Me sitting alone in a room trying to come up with 15 million new ways of telling screen movies is never going to be as interesting as some artist who out there has something compelling they want to say and realizes that we're the right partners to do it and comes to us. That's how all of the best projects that we've done have come together. And that kind of collaboration is, I think, what's most exciting about movies in general. Ow, ow!
With the first Screenlife film, Unfriended, we wanted to start with a horror film. Oftentimes the horror genre is a lot more accepting of unconventional ways of telling story, and the audiences are really open to that.
Oh my God.
But after that film was done, we said, hey, you know, this is a really relatable experience, and there's really no reason you can't take this way of telling a story and apply it to all sorts of other genres, to romantic comedies, to thrillers, to action films. So, you know, we're currently in the process of expanding the capabilities of this type of filmmaking, and I think the sky's the limit.
As for now, we have about 15 projects that are in the pre-production, and all of them are absolutely different, because I know people sometimes say that you guys are working in this dark territory where you deal with like horrors, thrillers. So no, it's not like that. We have comedies, we have a disaster movie, we have sci-fi, detective stories. So everything, we have drama, and any genre, you name it, we have it. Because the format doesn't really have any limitations, doesn't really impose any limitations. It lets you tell any kind of stories. That's what makes it so special and so interesting, because there are no strict rules. If you like a certain genre, you can come up with your own rules and tell any kind of story.
This is gonna be fun.
There's no rules. Well, we usually, there is several different ways. First, it's my ideas. I have an idea, and I want to tell the story, and I can find some partners, like writers or producers I want to work with, and we're developing it together. And for example, Unfriended, the first movie, it was done this way. I had an idea, and then my assistant, Nelson Greaves, he was a young, talented filmmaker, and I asked him to write the story. And then I called my friend Leo Gabriadze, and I asked him to come to LA and direct this story. And somehow we cooked it together and made a movie. And there is another way when I'm acting as a studio, as a producer, and talented people already in the group, they came to me with the project they want to make, and then my role is just to help them to produce and to find the way how to find the audience for this project. Lately, we have another pattern. It's a Screenlife contest. It's an online contest, non-stop, where young filmmakers can submit their projects, and there is a system how to select and how to accelerate these projects and transform ideas into the movies.
It really depends, you know? It depends on who your audience is, what type of buyer you're anticipating, and who your cast is. I mean, every movie is a calculation, and if you think that there's some algorithm out there that's going to prove it, then I'm so sorry, but you're out of your mind. Every project has to be assessed in terms of who you are trying to talk to, how you are going to reach them, and who your team is. In fact, one of the ones we're working on now is like a big commercial thriller, which we are going to try to cast with, A-list cast. A-list cast costs money. So that budget is going to be, even though the below the line, like actual producing of the film, these are all relatively inexpensive films, certain types of stories really benefit from having well-known cast, and cast is expensive, and so you have to accommodate that in your budget. Whereas other movies, if you're doing something that's really quite small and doesn't, is a niche audience or whatever, you're basically, you just gotta be smart, and you gotta figure out who your buyer is and like what the expectations are for who the audience is and how to reach them, and try to, calculate what your appropriate budget is based on that. But the below the line's cheap because, again, it's very few shoot days, right? So, it's less expensive to have someone in the edit bay than to go out and like have a crew.
But what we learned, there is different ways. One way is you have a script, you have cast, you recording real processes. And then with our new recorders, we have a very, very useful tools for that. You're recording the real conversation between people, like traditional, like a camera, but you're recording the screens. And then you go in post-production and you're creating the story. But you're telling the story with editing and using all the footage, like a face and the screen captured at the same time, and you can edit it as you like. There is another way. It's more like animation, traditional animation process. When before you shooting, you have a previs process. You are literally creating the whole movie as a Screenlife, like a pre-visualization. When you don't have real actors, maybe even you're just using some drawings, or you can play yourself, but you're creating the whole movie, you're telling the whole story without actors. And then you're shooting actors exactly when you need, how much you need, exactly what you need to tell the story. It's very different ways of more improvisation from the beginning and then editing, or very specific long editing process and then just shooting specific moments. It's different ways. The post-production and production kind of happening simultaneously in Screenlife movies.
The more thoroughly thought out your project is, the more thorough your script, the more thorough your previs, the more thorough your storyboard, the more precisely you know exactly what you need to get before you go and get it, the cheaper it's going to be.